to John 5, because now I'm going to show you what John 5 says, and it shows that your pawn is from hell. Go to John 5:19. Read that for me.
Then answered Jesus and said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do. For what things...
Hold on, wait. The Son can do nothing of himself, but only what he sees the Father do. Do you agree that Jesus is God's Son who does whatever the Father does?
From this, I can imply the Son can do nothing of himself.
No, then that's not my question. Let me try it again, because I know you want to run. Do you agree that he's the Son that does whatever the Father does?
No.
Muslims who quote this verse often ignore the context of John 5. In John 5:18 it is written, Therefore the Jews sought the more to kill him, because he not only had broken the Sabbath, but said also that God was his Father, making himself equal with God. So before Jesus spoke the words in John 5:19, the Jews had already understood that he was making himself equal with God. If Jesus had only wanted to state that he was inferior to God, he would have immediately refuted this accusation. However, instead of denying their claim, Jesus went on to declare his unique relationship with the Father, further affirming his divinity. What kind of relationship is this? It is the mutual knowledge and unity between God the Father and his Word, the Son. In both Islam and Christianity, the Word of God cannot act independently of God's will. For example, in Genesis 1:3 it says, And God said, Let there be light, and there was light. And in Psalm 33:6 it is written, By the word of the Lord were the heavens made, and all the host of them by the breath of his mouth. The Word of God operates in accordance with his will, not separately from him. If the Word were to act independently, it would create a duality in divinity. But because the Word is one with God, it always works together and in perfect harmony with his will. Jesus, as the Word of God made flesh, John 1:14, does not act apart from the Father. Instead, he operates as the perfect manifestation of God's will. In other words, John 5:19 does not indicate that Jesus is lesser than God, but rather that he is the very Word of God, acting in perfect unity with the Father. Just as the Word of God in Islam does not act on its own, but always in accordance with God's will, so too does Christ, the eternal Word, work inseparably with the Father.
Read it now, the full verse, because you just buried Muhammad, because you said you don't agree with that. Now read the full verse. Read the next part.
Then answered Jesus and said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do. For what things soever he doeth, these also doeth the Son likewise. Okay.
Do you agree that Jesus does everything the Father does the way the Father does it?
This concept is a little baffling for me.
No. Do you agree what you read? You quoted John 5:30. I'm giving you the context. Jesus just said, I can only do what the Father does. And whatever the Father does, I do it the way he does it. Can a prophet say, could your prophet say, I only do what Allah does. That's all I can do. And whatever Allah does, I do.
No, we can't.
But that's what Jesus said.
But okay, so I understand that they're trying to imply that Jesus can do what the Father does, but
everything the Father does the way the Father does it, such as raise the dead. Read John 5:21.
For as the Father raised up the dead and quickened them, even so the Son quickened whom he will.
Okay, so just like the Father raises the dead and quickens them, meaning gives them life, the Son, who can only do what the Father does, and everything the Father does, he gives life to whom he wills.
This statement is unique because no prophet has ever claimed to have the authority to raise whomever he wills by his own power. In the Old Testament, prophets like Elijah and Elisha raised the dead, but not by their own power. They did so by praying and pleading with God. However, Jesus did not pray to the Father for the power to raise the dead. Instead, he himself gave life to whomever he willed, demonstrating that he possessed the same divine authority as the Father.
But it's going to get worse for you. Before you ask, because I'm going to show you, your Quran stole the words of Jesus. John 5:25.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, the hour is coming, and now is when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of God, and they shall hear, and they that hear shall live.
Okay, wait. Whose voice are they going to hear?
The Son of God.
Which you don't believe he's the Son of God. And when they hear his voice, he's going to make them alive?
And they shall hear, and they should that hear shall live. Yeah.
Okay, and the hour, right?
Yes.
Now read 28 and 29.
Marvel not at this, for the hour is coming, in the which all that are in the graves shall hear his voice, and shall come forth. They that have done good unto the resurrection of life, and they that have done evil unto the resurrection of damnation.
Okay, now whose voice are they going to hear at the hour?
The Son of God.
Okay, and when they hear his voice at the hour, they're going to come out of their graves, right?
Yeah.
So this is Yom Al-Qiyamah, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now go to your Quran, chapter 22, 6 and 7.
That is because Allah, He is the truth, and it is He who gives life to the dead, and it is He who is able to do all things. And surely the hour is coming, there's no doubt about it, and certainly Allah will resurrect those who are in the graves. And among men...
Wait, your Quran says, at the hour, Allah will resurrect the dead from their graves, and He gives them life.
Yeah.
But Jesus said, He, the Son of God, will resurrect them from their graves and give them life at the hour.
But let me ask you this question. Did Jesus really say that?
Before you ask, do you now agree your Quran just confirmed Jesus claimed what your prophet said only God can do?
If the Quran states that only Allah can do this, yet Jesus claims that He Himself will raise all people at the end of time, then there are two possibilities. One, Jesus was lying and claimed something that was not his right, which would contradict the Islamic belief that Jesus is a true prophet. Two, Jesus is truly God because He is the Word of God as the revelation of God's very being. If we remain consistent with the premise that Jesus is truthful and does not lie, then the only logical conclusion is that Jesus has a prerogative that belongs to God alone, because He is one with the Father. Unknowingly, the Quran itself has confirmed that what Jesus does is what Allah does. This serves as strong evidence that Jesus is not merely a prophet, but the Word of God, possessing divine authority and power equal to that of God.
Could you repeat that?
You just read the Quran. It says, Allah is the truth. He gives life to the dead. And the hour is coming, and have no doubt about it, Allah will raise them from their graves. But in John 5:21 and John 5:25, John 5:28 to 29, you just read Jesus saying, I, the Son of God, at that hour will give life to those in the graves and raise them out of their graves. Something that the Quran says only Allah does. So why did Jesus say this?
So it's conflicting. So let me ask you.
What? Wait, conflicting with what?
Conflicting. So there's two opinions, two varying opinions. One is saying that Allah will bring people out of the graves, and the other one is saying that Jesus, the Son of God,
your Quran doesn't matter. Come 600 years later, we don't give a damn about your Quran. What I'm saying is John 5:30, which you quoted, which you didn't read. Your Quran admits that what Jesus said, only God can say. Can a prophet say like Jesus, the hour is coming where they will hear my voice at that hour and I will raise them from the graves?
No, I don't think any prophet can say that.
But Jesus said it. According to the Quran, did Jesus claim what only God can do?
Yes, Jesus is claiming what only God can.
Only, so then now you see why you don't trust Zakir Naik. You don't trust Zakir Naik. He's a liar like your prophet.
Thus, there is nothing more divine or less divine, nor is there anything greater or lesser in terms of divinity between God and His Word, for the Godhead is one and exists in the essence of the Father. Since the Word of God dwells within the one and only divine essence of the Father, the Word possesses the same and singular divine essence as the Father. The fullness of the Godhead, the very essence of the Father, dwells perfectly in the Son. Therefore, it can be said that the Father is in the Son. Yet because the Son is the Word of God and is inseparably united in the same and singular divine essence, it can also be said that the Son is in the Father, as stated, I am in the Father, and the Father in me. The very divinity that belongs to the Father is in the Son. Even when the Word of God, the Son, descended, became incarnate, as man, the essence of the Father, the fullness of the Godhead, remained in the Son. This unity of essence between God and His Word, even after the incarnation, can never be separated, as it is written, For in Him dwelleth all the fullness of the Godhead bodily. Thus, the Godhead of the one and only Father dwells fully in the Son. Therefore, it is clear that there are not two gods, for there is one divine essence that dwells both in the Father, the one true God, and in the Son, His Word, which is within God Himself. Since there is only one fullness of the Godhead, both in the one true God and in His Word, it follows that there is only one divine glory, which likewise dwells in both the Father, the one true God, and the Son, the Word of God that is within God himself. Consequently, there is only one eternity, for the Word of God, the Son, has existed from eternity past to eternity future, always within and begotten of the Father in his one and only divine essence. Since the Father, the one true God, is in his Word, the Son, there is only one divine will, for the will of the Father is the very will of the Son. As the Word of God himself declared when he became flesh, I seek not mine own will, that is, the human will after taking on flesh in this world, but the will of the Father, the one true God, who hath sent me, to become incarnate in this world. John 5:30. This statement from the incarnate Word is affirmed by God himself. So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please. Isaiah 55:11.